Hi, I'm DiMarino.
I'm Morgan Hardwood,
And I'm Emily Lawler.
and today we're going to be showing you guys a documentary.
Based on the impact technology has on humans, specifically younger children.
Featuring a special interview from Eleanor Lennon, who is a psychologist and educator and has been in the field for 37 years.
Let's get into it.
The first iPhone came out in 2007. This was a big turn for technology because this device was meant to be carried around with you and was very easy to access. iPads, iPods, and computers were commonly used, but it wasn't until iPhones came out that the use of devices like this became an all-the-time thing. These advancements have allowed people to be more connected than ever, but this may come at a price.
Can you introduce yourself?
I'm Eleanor Lennon. I am a psychologist and an educator. I've been in the field about 37 years, and I currently work at the Delaware County Intermediate Unit as a consultant with their emotional support program.
So, in your opinion, have you seen any differences in children's behavior since technology has increased?
Sure, we've seen a lot of difference in children's behavior. I would say the biggest impact probably is middle school. So we see a lot more of depression and anxiety. We think stems from a lot of social media, and kind of constant feedback of social media. For the younger ones, they're kind of exposed to content they don't really understand yet. So sometimes we'll have kids who are kind of overwhelmed. They're also by fourth and fifth grade getting involved in social media, and sometimes that's sort of coming into the classroom. There's conflict outside of school, and that conflict continues when they come in. For our high schoolers, there's kind of a change right now. We have a lot of high school students actually moving a little bit away from social media. They are putting themselves on technology breaks, and sort of signing off of social media for a while if they find it kind of overwhelming. One of the things we've seen is that prior to technology, what would happen is that kids would sort of have these experiences throughout the school day, and then they would go home, and there would be some time where they were sort of by themselves or with their families, but they were processing the kinds of experiences that had happened to them throughout the day. And one of the changes that we see with technology is that kids are never really off. And so they come home from school and they're still having these interactive experiences because they're on social media. And so there's really no downtime or off time where they have a space where they're kind of processing what's happening to them and their sort of feelings and experiences with that. And that over time, we think have kids feel pretty overwhelmed. And then you sort of have this emotional distress to those kinds of feelings.
Yeah.
Do you think a big factor in children's behavior is caused by the lack of social skills due to how much they're on technology?
Yes, there certainly is. There's a lack of social skills because they're not interacting the way they used to interact. There's also not a lot of play. So kids are in a lot of structured activities. They'll go to sports, they'll go to theater camps, they'll do different things, but they're very structured. Kids do not free play today, where you're sort of out in the neighborhood playing with other kids your age and kind of resolving the conflicts that arise just from free play. So, they are much more socially awkward, I would say, particularly in elementary school. There's not as many boundaries or limits on kids today. So sometimes that's an issue too, in terms of them being able to manage themselves or self-regulate themselves in a social situation.
Yeah, I think we all definitely agree with that. We discussed that, when we were younger, we feel like we were able to play outside and we were spending our days, our free time outside, while we see younger children now, they're on their iPads or they're on their phones or anything, not really being outside and socializing as much, how we used to go knock up on our
Right.
doors. Yeah.
The parents that are just becoming parents today, because there's been a lot of research about that, they're actually much more mindful of not having their kids on technology. Now, we'll see how long that lasts. They have young babies, right? So a lot of times the social media was used or is used to kind of occupy kids while parents are doing something else. So that kind of ability to occupy yourself, find something to do, isn't there because the technology is so immediate and it's so gratifying. It kind of keeps kids plugged in and engaged with whatever is on the screen.
Yeah. Also, like, since technology has become so advanced over the years, do you ever find yourself having trouble solving their problems or helping them since you might not have had like a similar experience?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, there's a generational gap, particularly in trying to help kids manage or navigate social media, because most parents did not have social media, not yet. Now it's changing. Probably in about 7 or 8 years, the parents will have grown up in the social media world. It's difficult for parents, I think, to sort of help them even understand the impact of what's happening on social media, because kids aren't disclosing that to parents. They're not necessarily saying to parents, this is what someone said to me today, or this is what's happening, or I'm being bullied. So, years ago when you didn't have social media, it was more likely you would know about that because you could observe the interaction between kids.
Do you think that COVID made kids like get more addicted to technology and like they kind of got in the habit of always using it?
Especially with like parents too. When it comes down to like your kid has to stay inside, the easiest thing is just throwing like an iPad in front of them. Do you think that parents then just get into like that's the easiest thing that they can do to entertain their child?
Yeah, and I mean, at a certain age, it's difficult to get your kid back off of social media, when you're trying to manage a teenager, for example, who's going to be resistant to that. You have to figure out, what are the parents that can manage that resistance and what are the parents who sort of just give into it, right? So, I mean, certainly the COVID experience where everybody was supposed to be plugged in all day, you were learning online, so everything was online. It made that social media tool, that technology tool, kind of part of your existence. It became your pencil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to kind of have kids, and it was a long time. It was a long time. It was,
Yeah.
a good 2 years of that kind of learning platform, I would say. So, and kids got used to being alone.
Yeah.
Kids got used to not interacting face to face.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you
That's all
so
the
much.
questions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you so much. You gave
Sure.
us great answers.
Yeah, and
Sure.
that's a lot.
Technology isn't all bad.
Yeah.
It's just, we, in schools in particularly, we use it to kind of encourage ways of being collaborative, right? Different ways of communicating, being creative. There's a good way to use technology if you incorporate it into schools. You just can't have kids on technology all day, even in schools.
Yeah.
So, you just have to be much more cognizant about, how does technology support the learning and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The authors of a 2016 systematic review, Trusted Source, discussed the link between social networks and mental health issues, such as depression, ADHD, and anxiety. Their research found mixed results.
People who had more positive interactions on these platforms appeared to have lower levels of depression and anxiety. However, people that had more negative social interactions online experienced higher levels of depression and anxiety. So while there does appear to be a link between social media and mental health, a significant determining factor is the types of interactions people are having on these platforms. Most digital technologies are sedentary, and more consistent use of the technologies encourages more sedentary lifestyle, which is known to have negative health effects such as contributing to obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and premature death. Technologies such as tablets, smartphones, and computers can hold a person's attention for long periods of time. This may lead to a range of negative health effects such as sleep deprivation, increased stress levels, and digital eye strain. Symptoms of eye strain include blurred vision, dried eyes, and may also lead to pains in other areas of the body like the head, neck, or shoulders. Thank you guys so much for watching.
I hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
And I hope you learned something new.
This is Morgan Harwood,
Emily Lawler.
And DiMarino
signing off.
That was the